Richmond is a historic city that played a prominent role in the Civil War, but more pertinently, it has a decent array of sports venues, some of which are very quirky. So here are the stadiums and arenas of Richmond, Virginia. The diamond is one of the best known and most sought after gems, and it has been used as a decorative item since ancient times. Hang on. The diamond is a ballpark home to a college team, but the primary tenant is the Flying Squirrels. I love minor league baseball team names. This is completely unlike most minor league ballparks, as the seating is entirely confined to one big grandstand. A grandstand with an almost entirely bare concrete exterior, and a big roof that allows for most of the seating to be undercover. Once more, these are features not associated with ballparks. There's no outfield seating, no lawn seating, no tables, no party deck, but there doesn't really need to be. The capacity is already more than is required. As you can see, the top dozen or so rows of seats are covered in advertising. Next door is Arthur Ashe Athletic Center. Arthur Ashe might have the world's largest tennis-specific stadium named after him, which is in New York, but he's actually from Richmond. And Richmond paid their tribute to him by naming this arena after him, which is obviously nowhere near as good, but it's the thought that counts. It's just a basic multi-purpose venue. There is a proposal to redevelop the area, which will include the demolition of this place in the near future if it goes ahead. I would say I'd be sad to see it go, but I'm not. That's more like it, Richmond Coliseum. This arena seems as though it would have looked spectacular when it first opened. However, it is aging quite badly. Not quite as bad as the Coliseum in Rome, but still. It's deteriorating enough that it was actually closed in 2019. However, it's still standing. It will eventually be replaced, but plans have not been confirmed yet, so let's just talk about it like it's not about to be knocked down. The seating layout is somewhat distinctive. There are 2 tiers along the sidelines and 3 tiers at the ends. Yet the seating along the sidelines rises to the same height as the triple tiered sections. I like that. But yeah, look at that scoreboard. That is Roman. I think it was designed by... my Roman knowledge isn't good enough. Biggest Dickus, he was Roman, wasn't he? City Stadium. This very strange looking stadium opened way back in 1929 as the home of the University of Richmond's football team. They now play elsewhere, but it's also been home to the Richmond Kickers since 1995. In terms of US soccer, that's a pretty long tenure. It also hosted an annual bowl game called the Tobacco Bowl, which was part of the National Tobacco Festival. Different times. Even though the Tobacco Bowl ended in 1982, the stadium still suffers from a persistent cough and shortness of breath to this day. I wouldn't be surprised if it soon develops concrete cancer. That's a real thing, by the way. Once more, this stadium's capacity is too large for the club that currently plays here, so the surplus seats make for a good advertising opportunity. Other than that, I like how this section of the stand transitions into a grass berm. Richmond Raceway, also known as America's premier short track. Now you might be thinking that a short track is less impressive than a long track, but I prefer the short tracks because A, it means more contact between the cars, and B, it makes the place look more like an actual stadium, and C, is like a small ocean. Richmond Raceway opened just a year after World War II ended, and was used for both motorsports and horse racing. One time, tragically, a horse got the schedule mixed up. Let's just say that horse couldn't handle the horsepower. It came in last place. It was soul crushing for that horse. He trained so hard to get to this level, only to be humiliated in such a way. Clayborn Robbins Stadium. When Richmond's football team was playing at City Stadium, this was the school's soccer and track facility. It had a much smaller capacity back then and, well, it was pretty much an entirely different stadium. It still does host the soccer, track and field and lacrosse. Although a running track is never ideal for football fans, or soccer and lacrosse fans for that matter, this track, done up in Richmond Spiders colours, is at least aesthetically pleasing, as is the stadium as a whole, come to think of it. There is plenty of brickwork throughout, and all those trees beyond the eastern end zone make for a pretty sight. They are also presumably home to plenty of Richmond Spiders. Next door is Robins Centre. Yes, they are named after the same Robins. Clayborn Robins was a major donor. The court itself is named after Dick Tarrant, the school's most successful basketball coach. As you saw, the exterior is equally, if not more, brick-laden than the football stadium. That's not uncommon. What is uncommon is internal brickwork. The video boards in the corners that were added about a decade ago are sort of built into the brick walls. I love that. Given the name of the team, I sort of wish they had those Spider-Man style suspended backboards, but the ceiling is probably too high for that, to be fair, and this seems like a lovely all-round venue. Hovey Field. This humble little stadium is the second oldest college football stadium that's still in use, having opened in 1907. What is not so old is the field itself, because as you can see, the natural grass field was recently replaced with the synthetic turf one, so it doesn't look quite as good anymore. Well, actually, you can see that the grass wasn't in great condition all the time, so that's up for debate. The field is overlooked by the 161-foot tall Van Memorial Tower, which is the tallest building in the entire campus. You might be surprised to hear that it was gifted to the university by Belgium, the country of Belgium. It was created for the 1939 World's Fair in New York. Siegel Center, but the actual arena is called the E.J. Wade Arena. E.J. Wade Arena at Siegel Center, because the more stuff they can name, the more donations they can gain. It only became the E.J. Wade Arena in 2016, after a $4 million pledge was made. Thankfully, the court itself doesn't have a name. That would have been a bridge too far. Speaking of bridges, some of them have names as well. Inside, the seating consists of retractable seating lower down, a fixed wraparound mid-tier, and some premium seating up top. Despite being 25 years old, everything looks brand new and just very clean. Maybe it's the colour scheme. And those were the stadiums of Richmond, Virginia. They may not all have been world class, but they were interesting nonetheless. Thanks for watching, have a good one.